Picture the classic cinematic samurai. He stands perfectly balanced, locked into an ancient, flawless stance, waiting for the exact right moment to strike. Now look at the historical reality of Miyamoto Musashi. Between the ages of 13 and 29, he fought over 60 duels to the death against some of the most lethal fighters in Japan, and he won every single one. Yet, if you asked Musashi about that flawless cinematic posture, he'd tell you it was a mistake. He didn't look the part either. Musashi wandered the country in wretched clothes, his hair unbrushed, reportedly avoiding bathtubs entirely just in case he was caught unarmed. To him, the aesthetic beauty of sword fencing, the obsession with looking like a proper warrior, was a dangerous trap. Late in his life, he wrote his philosophy down in the Book of Five Rings. Instead of providing a list of secret techniques, Musashi used the text to systematically dismantle the illusions and dogmas taught by other martial arts schools. To understand how a solitary orphan survived a violent era, we have to unlearn our assumptions about combat. Musashi survived through pure, ruthless pragmatism. During Musashi's time, rival schools marketed themselves by promising victory through highly specialized gear. They taught their students that wielding an extra-long sword gave them a mathematical advantage in a fight. This image shows the exact kind of equipment traditional schools relied upon. You can see the intricate, cross-shaped spear and the long blade of the naginata. These weapons required highly specific techniques to use, which students mistook for actual strategy. Musashi's most famous duel put this exact theory to the test. In 1612, he agreed to fight Sasaki Kojiro, a renowned swordsman who relied on a legendary extra-long blade and a highly specific technique known as the swallow counter. Musashi didn't bother trying to match Kojiro's elegant steel. He arrived late to the island duel, jumped out of his boat, and rushed Kojiro holding a wooden sword he had quickly carved from a spare boat oar. Before Kojiro could execute his signature move, Musashi brought the heavy wood down and crushed his skull. Developing a favorite weapon creates a psychological dependency. If you rely on the length of a blade to save you, you are unprepared for a fight in a tight hallway with a short dagger. In Musashi's view, the physical tool is secondary to the tactical result. That same rigid thinking applied to physical postures. Traditional academies spent years drilling students into fixed, static stances designed to defensively await an enemy's attack. Musashi dismissed this entirely, introducing a counter-concept he called attitude, no attitude. For him, a warrior's posture must never be static. In this schematic, you can see the danger of a rigid stance in practice. The figure locked into a textbook pose gets trapped the moment they hit a wall. Meanwhile, the fluid figure constantly shifts position to navigate around pillars, low ceilings, and uneven ground. Notice the line of sight on the adapting figure. The only actual stance Musashi permitted was the unyielding internal psychological intention to cut the enemy. The position of your arms or legs is irrelevant, as long as that mental focus remains locked on the target. Fixed formations offer a false sense of security. Musashi argued that true defense is found in relentless, fluid adaptability. Along with fancy stances, rival instructors sold secret footwork techniques to impress beginners. They boasted of complex movements with names like the jumping foot or the crow's foot. Musashi offered a reality check. Those flashy, bounding movements are useless the moment you have to fight in a muddy rice field or on rocky, uneven terrain. His rule for movement was literal. You must walk in Mortal Kombat exactly as you walk normally in the street, stepping firmly on your heels without floating or jumping. Rather than trying to move his feet faster than his opponent, Musashi controlled the pacing of a fight through a psychological concept he called holding down a pillow. Look at this timeline comparison. Instead of reacting to a physical strike, holding down a pillow means perceiving the enemy's intention to attack before they physically move. You intercept the thought, stepping in the exact moment they decide to strike, shutting down their momentum. Mastering that kind of timing and intent can render an opponent's physical speed irrelevant. By the time he reached his 50s, Musashi had systematically stripped away all martial arts dogma. He became so formidable that he stopped using real swords entirely in duels, opting only for wooden practice weapons. He had reached his ultimate state of strategic mastery, a concept he called the void. This was a hyper-perceptive, unclouded state of mind, entirely free from bias, fear, or rigid expectations. This intricate dark wood sculpture of the deity Fudo-Myo was carved by Musashi himself. That unclouded mindset allowed a formerly violent street orphan to master peaceful, precise arts and crafts with the exact same focus he brought to a duel. Because Musashi's strategy focused on fluid adaptability rather than sword-specific techniques, his principles could be applied beyond physical violence, serving as a framework for managing conflict in any environment. This historical photograph shows a busy corporate exchange counter in 20th century Japan. Decades after the samurai class vanished, Japanese businessmen utilized the Book of Five Rings as a guide for corporate takeovers and aggressive sales campaigns, applying Musashi's methods to outmaneuver rival firms. Musashi's legacy suggests that the fighter, or the strategist, clinging to a single tool or a rigid plan, remains vulnerable. In his view, the only reliable advantage is the ability to drop those attachments and move in step with reality.